Good morning, Earth scientists. It is Tuesday, it's September 13th, and here is your daily lesson video for the day. As we start these, I just want to throw a couple things out. First off, this will probably be the longest video that I will do today because I have to go over a whole bunch of science giants. Other than that, I'm going to go very quickly through the slides. So these videos should only last about 2-3 minutes, maybe. Um, so feel free that if you're watching this video or any videos, you might have to pause, play as you watch the video. So let's take a look here. We'll go through and we'll do Lucky Bucket. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the science safety map that's going to be due today. So as we introduce the science safety map, we'll cover that, talk about a couple things, and then intro the science giants. So the last two questions, if you remember from yesterday, the last two questions we were going to talk more about today, and that's what I wanted to talk about. First off, excuse me, if you're watching this video, you kind of get the idea. Everything is posted on Google Classroom each and every day. So yesterday, you would have seen that there was a video posted that I played yesterday, and then there was a science safety diagram posted there. The worksheet was posted there. That'll be posted each and every day. I got a message from a student even asking. I was absent today, so I was watching the video you posted this morning, and I was wondering, is the science safety worksheet homework, or should I print it out and do it at home? Perfect example of why we're posting some of these videos and posting stuff on Google Classroom. The video for today, which I'm actually making, this was last year's, but the video for today, here you go. It's going to be like a 13-minute video, but the reason why is because I'm going through the scientists for the day. I'll see if I can speed it up a little bit. The other part is, so that was question one. It was all about what to do if you are absent. Question two is what to do in case of an emergency fire drill. So first off, we don't want to go running out the door, but there is an emergency exit over in the corner of the room. You'll exit that door, and then what we will do is we will simply go across, down the sidewalk, across the bus lot, and we will line up on the grassy hill, and then I'll take attendance. So that would be what you would do in question number two on the back, and what to do if you were absent, question one. So as always, Google Classroom, check in with a partner, um, check in with me. Those will all be things that you can do if you were absent for one. And then number two, stay calm, exit the room, don't run, don't grab your stuff, leave your stuff here, and line up on the hill, and I'll take attendance. So there you go. Get that finished up, and then we'll turn that in. So next year is I can name a scientist who has made an impact on earth science. We have a word. Earth science will be our word. So we'll fill that in. I believe that's our second word of the year so far. So earth science, the branches of geology, astronomy, meteorology, and hydrology. Perfect. So let's talk about the giants of science. So in your composition notebook, which you might not have your composition notebook with you, however, on a piece of paper, make a T-chart, pause the video, make a T-chart. I'm going to go through these very, very quickly. So if there is somebody that interests you, the whole idea is to come up with a couple people from each one of the different areas of earth science that interest you, and then you can do your project on them. So if you are gone today, this will give you a little jump start on who you would want to pick. As a little video, I'll skip the video and we'll get right into it. So I'm going to close myself here, but you should be able to still hear me. I'll go through these quickly. So these would all be astronomers that you could pick for your project. So Zhang Hang is known for, in astronomy, is known for stuff with the moon, making star charts, and then also coming up with a calendar. So he could be someone you could write down. Claudius Ptolemy, he put the Earth at the center of the universe. So that was his big contribution. That is obviously not correct, but in 90 to 168 AD, that was a common belief. Next person, Nicholas Copernicus. He put the sun at the center and discovered some stuff with planetary motions before the telescope, and also had done some stuff with solar eclipses. Tycho Brahe also talked about an Earth-centered universe. He thought the moon and the sun revolved around the Earth, not the other planets. Johannes Kepler came up with the three laws of planetary motion. Sir Isaac Newton talking about gravity. Um, Edmund Halley predicted the path of Halley's Comet. Benjamin Banneker predicted solar eclipses, time, and clocks. William Herschel, he discovered Uranus and the satellites of Uranus and Saturn. Henrietta Leavitt, she worked with stars and the brightness of stars and star characteristics. Multin Mulvanovic, I can struggle with that pronunciation, talked about the cycles of distances from the sun and Earth's climate, Earth's orbit, ice ages, and so forth. Edwin Hubble worked with the Hubble Space Telescope. George Lemaitre, Big Bang Theory, expansion of the universe. Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and he was the first person to step foot on the moon. Stephen Hawking was a physicist, a cosmologist, not a cosmetologist, a cosmologist, and had written many different books and so forth. Sally Ride was the first woman in space, and Mae Jemison was the first African American woman to travel in space. So those would all be examples of people that had big contributions for um, astronomy. So those would be people that you could pick to do your research on. All right, Eratosthenes had. Now we're going into geologists. So find two people that sound interesting for geology. He mapped the distance around the Earth. Zhang Heng, which also comes up in geology, he made a seismometer, which detects earthquakes. Sir Francis Bacon, obviously, is a popular one just due to his name. He talked about how coastlines look like they match, which would bring to some of the ideas of Pangea. James Hutton had worked with erosion and how things are gradual changes. Abraham Warner was a geologist. He studied the crust, Earth's crust, and the different layers of the Earth. Charles Lyell was a geologist, and he worked with uniformitarianism, the idea that slow changes. Louis Agassiz had worked with glacial movements in glacial Lake Agassiz. James Hall was a paleontologist, which is a person who studies um, dinosaurs. Andrea Mo, that's another one that I struggle to pronounce. He had studied earthquakes and came up with the Moho theory of earthquakes. Florence Bascom worked with rocks and minerals, used microscopes. Alfred Wagner, he came up with the theory of continental drift, which we'll talk about soon. Winifred Goldring was the first official state paleontologist. She wrote fossil handbooks. Arthur Holmes had worked with continental drift. Charles Richter, he came up with the Richter scale for measuring earthquakes. Louis Eugene Neal talked about magnetic rocks and magnetic reversals that we see on the seafloor. Harry Hess mapped the seafloor, discovering the mid-ocean ridge. Marie Thorpe also mapped the ocean floor, and she discovered the mid-Atlantic ridge in using a lot of the different seismic data to map the ocean floor. And Walter and Luis Alvarez came up with the theory of the big meteor impact that extincted the dinosaurs. So those would all be some geologists that you could pick to do your research on. Just looking for two. All right, so oceanographers. Matthew Fontaine Murray. He studied ocean currents. He's been known as the father of oceanography. Jacques Cousteau. Basically everything ocean. He probably spent more life underwater than above water. Thor Heyerdahl. He studied ocean currents and he went on this big ocean expedition. Sylvia Earle was an oceanographer, an author, and came up with uh, uh, excuse me, some underwater stuff. I'm drawing a blank there for a quick second. And then Edith Witter is known for coming up with this deep sea diver submarine and was a big oceanographer. Meteorologist. So that would be two. Pick two people that you think would be interesting for that. Evangelista Torricelli invented a barometer. Blaise Pascal did an experiment with different experiments with air pressure. Edmund Halley, he made a map of the prevailing winds. Gabriel Fahrenheit, the Fahrenheit scale. Benjamin Banneker, which comes up again. He worked with predicting weather. Luke Howard. Oops, I think I bumped a couple here. Henry Cavendish discovered the composition of water, how is hydrogen and oxygen. Horace de Saussure measured relative humidity. And last, Luke Howard came up with a a classification of clouds. So cumulonimbus and cirrus clouds and all that kind of different stuff. So those would all be, oops, I went all the way back up to the front. Those would all be scientists that you could do your research on. In addition to that, if you have somebody that you would like to research, you can always reach out to me and ask me if, hey, I want to research so and so. So you just got to go through, pick 2 people in each category to research, and I promise that this will be the longest video that you will watch all year. Take care.